So you wanted, you waited for it, and finally, you got it. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, and today we're gonna talk about the newly announced Leica Q3, because this morning I received an email from Leica with all the new specs and it's officially announced and it's gonna be available for ordering as of tomorrow, May 26, 2023. Leica Q3 with brand new sensor with a lot of news and improvements compared to the previous version that was the Leica Q2, which I'm using for a few years right now. And so I'm getting many questions from you folks, because I think the majority of us who have the money available are questioning themselves whether they need the newly released Q3 or the Q2 for a discount. And so I'll let you do your reasoning about the budget availability. I don't have to input on that, but if we want to compare the specs to see which one is the best choice for you, then we can discuss about it, because I see there are many improvements. So hands down the Q3 is better than the Q2, but also there are a few things where this one will be better than the newly released Q3. So let's talk one by one about them. The new sensor is a 60 megapixel now. There were no need for improving the megapixel out of the Q2, but the 60 megapixel in the Q3 is a BSI sensor, and so that will help a lot with low light situations and with managing high ISO. Apart from the resolution and being BSI, it's also having the same capabilities as the M11 to go for 60 megapixels, so with plenty of details, or 36 megapixel, meaning that you're having a broader dynamic range, or eventually also for the 18 megapixel. Now, if it was for me, I would go 98% of the times for the 36 megapixel in order to have the broader dynamic range, but since you also have the digital zoom that basically is a crop, inside the Q2 it was possible to crop from 28, which is the base focal length for this lens, to 35, to 50, or eventually to 75. Now with the Q3 you can eventually crop down to 90 mil. And so if you want to crop down to 90 mil, it lowers the resolution by far, because basically it's just cropping down, and so you want to start from 60 megapixels, meaning that also the shot that you're taking with 90 mil would be good enough for a print. So you're having like 24 megs or something, the file size. I don't know exactly how much, but ideally you will be able to print them out anyway. The only minus that you're having when you're zooming in with the crop at 90 mil in the Leica Q3 is that, similarly to the Leica Q2, it doesn't solve the issue you're having. So basically you have a very tiny fraction of the screen inside here to do your framing, to do your composition, and so you don't really understand what's going on. While if you use the crop in video mode, then it will re-render, so you're having the whole width on the screen, and so you see much better your framing. You're just not having a full screen with tiny box with framing lines. You're having everything resized to the full width of the screen, so that will help a lot. Another lack that I see in the Q3 compared to the Q2 is that they keep having the OIS, while I was expecting to have IBIS in the new Q3, especially because there are a few new features that will make it the perfect EDC also for shooting videos, such as the new USB-C port they have on the side. I still have to discover whether that port will be good enough or not to plug in a microphone such as the Wireless Go 2 that has a USB-C connector, and so I'm still scouting the web in order to see whether that USB-C door will be good enough in order to connect the mic, but I think so. It's not just for recharging or downloading the files. And then the Leica Q3 also have an HDMI port, meaning you can use a monitor, meaning you can connect plenty of things. You can put it on a gimbal, finally. But it's so 2010 when you were seeing people going around with their Sony cameras with a gimbal, and so that would be the perfect EDC, but up to a certain point, because not having IBIS, then you will need a gimbal, while Sony right now is having IBIS and OIS, and so the two things together make you record videos without the need of a gimbal anymore. But these are just minor details in my humble opinion, because we're talking about a compact camera, an EDC with a macro lens included with the OIS, with plenty of resolution. And finally, also with AF tracking phase detect, the same one that we saw released in the Panasonic S5 Mark II a couple months ago. And so basically, this is a good plus when it comes down to video. It's not helping when it comes down to photography. When it comes down to photography, the real help that you're having is that right now you have a tilt screen. Now, I don't know if you ever tried shooting from the chest with this one, but that's good enough. You don't need a tilt screen because the rear screen has plenty of brightness and you will see it from wide angles as well, and so you're able to have it from up there or from down here and to still see it and choosing the focal point. But this is a plus because plenty of clients were asking for it. This tilt screen, I don't know why. Still, it's not completely flippable, so that won't help if you want to vlog. But if you buy a Leica Q3, ideally vlogging is not your main source of revenue. But apart from that, the one thing to consider is that the Q3, don't quote me on that because I still have to check it and to double check it, but apparently I didn't find any specs about the weather resistance, and so they added the 2 ports here, HDMI and USB-C, and they added the flip screen, but they removed the weather sealing. That was also nice to have in this camera, especially if we consider that I myself live in Vancouver. It rains a lot, and so when I'm going out there, I don't want to have any stress coming from rain or cold or whatever conditions I can find out there. But apart from these minor things, guys, if you don't own a Leica yet, probably the Q3 is a great choice, and it's eventually comparable in the shooting experience to the Leica M series. And so you will have a fixed lens here because you cannot change lens in the Leica Q, but this Leica Q body became a classic already. And so what it's not to like, you're having the same 60 megapixel sensor, which is now in the top class, which is the Leica M11. You're having phase detect, OIS, and many other features that will make this camera a great EDC, probably the best EDC from 2023. So with that, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.